What are you afraid of, and what are you doing about it?
I'm fearful as a father that I just want to. The flesh in me just wants to say, can we sit this one out? And I feel like protecting him is by not letting him be on an iPad. Because I've heard the statistics. Usually boys are exposed to pornography somewhere between 7 and 10 years old.
We all long to live a courageous life of significance. We all want to be the example to our children and do big things that change the world. However, at the end of the day, the bills are calling, and the busyness of life often keeps us from stepping boldly into our dream and passion. Join Angie Taylor, a 30-year veteran educator and co-founder of Valor Global Online and Valor Global Foundation, if you long to leave a legacy for your family and leave your mark on the world. This show is for you. This is The Way of Valor.
Hey, 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 welcome to The Way of Valor, Season 2. You guys, I cannot believe we have gone through 2 years of doing this podcast, and now we are refreshing and launching a second season with a whole new vibe on it. We are going to take parent questions. We're going to get brutally honest on this podcast because we want to make sure we're adding sincere value to your life. And I could not think of a better person that is more honest, more real than my co-founder and business partner, Doug Wood, to be on the very first episode of season 2. So welcome to The Way of Valor, Doug.
Thanks so much, Angie, for having me back. And I would say a huge congratulations to you on the consistency, the topics that you've been willing to cover so far, and really, literally the thousands and thousands of people and parents and even students that you're reaching around the world. So job well done. And I'm so excited for today.
Thank you. I am super excited that you're on because I know, man, Doug, you're a mover and a shaker. But what I love about your journey is you don't rest on your laurels. Like you didn't hit a certain height in business or success and go, yeah, that's all there is. Like knowing you are consistently growing, consistently reinventing yourself, consistently leaning in. And I've like, even this summer, and I've watched this transformation in your life. And so I'd love for you to kind of talk about that journey and how do you consistently seem to reinventing yourself and continuing to grow?
Angie, the world's turning over. I feel like literally the world is completely cycling over and is a complete new season in 2024. The whole world has changed, and I believe it's about ready to change even more. I recognize that, obviously 7 years ago when you and I got together in Cabo San Lucas and really formed and created the dream of Valor where it is today, but how much the world has changed. And, I've had to sit back just the last 6 to 9 months, and I started taking my own temperature, but I quickly realized that the temperature of the world was changing and it was getting scary. And for me, even a father, I, along with you, started Valor out of a deep pain for wanting more for my children and my kids. Now I live today as a father who's actually scared. I know we have the Christ, and I know we have the peace that passes all understanding, but this world is scary. And to be a spiritual father in 2024, I just want to be so connected and so careful and so conscious of what is going on in this world and how do we navigate with wisdom, with strength, and just really strong wisdom in this next season. So I've sat back the last 6 to 9 months, and I've really, really looked within. And many people has viewed that as I've gone quiet or I've gone cold, but I've gotten connected back to the source and saying, God, without you, I am nothing. Without you, my strength is weak.
Good.
And I'm ready to take on this world because I've actually gotten spiritually fit. And when a few years ago I got physically fit, but now it's time to get spiritually fit.
Man, I so love that. And I think that's the thing that people miss. I know I've missed it in my own life when we're looking at other people that seem to be doing big things. The reality is, man, if it's human effort, it's all going to fail, right? If it's just man-made effort, it all goes away. But at the end of the day, it's that humility to lean in, to acknowledge. The thing I love about you, Doug, is you are always willing to acknowledge your crap, right? Like you're always, you and I have had good conversations. You've challenged me. I'd like to believe I've challenged you. And the willingness to lean in and go, yeah, we don't have it all figured out, but we know who does, has been invaluable. Talk about what changes you're making in your life, because I know as a result of this journey you've been on, you have some big changes and shifts happening for you.
I'm 46 years old, and I have been blessed to make a lot of money in my life. And from the world standards, I believe people would call me successful. But over the last couple of years, some of my businesses really started struggling, and it, made me look within and go, who are you, Doug, with less? Who are you without knowing for, just church board a millionaire or living the abundance lifestyle? And, I'm thankful that my wife and I have made good choices, but it's actually really allowed us to stop and go, okay, I'm halfway through our life. If you're listening to this right now and you're anywhere in your 40s,
Yeah.
you've got 40 good ones left in you. And I think
Yeah.
20 to 25 really good ones left in you. Are they counting? Or somewhere along the lines, the last couple of years, have you allowed the weeks just to become months and then the months to become year? And now you look back at even the pandemic season as an ancient pastime. But where have you made your life count since? Where have you made your moments with your children count? What significant impact have you invested in and made? And I had to look back. Really, it's happened a lot this summer and say, Doug, Tia, what do you want to be known for? Are you doing everything that you set out to be? Or have you found yourself just going through the motions? And Angie, I have found myself going through some motions, and it has been a complete strip down the last 3 to 6 months, but it has been so good. It's been so humbling, and it's actually right where I want to be.
Yeah, it is interesting how God uses our season of pain, and our scary seasons. I know when I moved to Texas, all of a sudden nobody knew me. Nobody cared to know me. And I was walking into churches and places where nobody knew my name. And it really did become about, is it about people knowing your name, Angie, or is it about people knowing me and you being in relationship with me? And I think sometimes we listen to podcasts or listen to people that have a lot of influence in the world, and we think that's the pinnacle, that's the sign of success. And I'd love for you to talk to that person, maybe that is in that space right now, that they're almost envious and jealous of people when they're successful versus what really success in your life looks like right now.
A couple of months ago, I went to a conference out in Bethel, out in Redding, California, and it was called Braveco, with some of my guys who run that incredible men's ministry. And I went there seeking to become a spiritual father. They asked on the opening night, what do you want to be known as? What if you were to either die today, or what are you willing to fight for? What do you really want to be known for? And I want to be known as a spiritual father, a connected father to this generation. But also at the same time, my biggest fear is raising, my son is 7, raising him in this world that is, let's just call it what it is, very perverted. And I would rather run and hide. And can we just maybe us as parents want to sit this one out? Can we just run and cover under the blanket? Can we just it's easier to tell our kids, no Snapchat, no Instagram, no Facebook, no whatever other app that we don't even know that they're on, so we're scared of it. So we just can go run and hide and let's all make it go away. And then when they're 18 or 19, we can just basically hand them their phone if they haven't already snuck it on their own anyway. And basically they're given the keys to a Lamborghini and that they don't even know how to drive. And I looked at myself and I said, I'm scared to take this one on, but I want to be known as a spiritual father. I needed to look back, Angie. I'm going to share a quick story because I feel like it's very relatable. I have a vision of my father growing up. The vision was when I came down from my balcony every single morning when I was about 7, I would remember my father praying from his knees in his living room, and I would go down and sometimes curl myself up next to my dad, and I just remember him praying from his knees every single morning growing up. My father was a very good man. He was who he was in private was who he was in public, which is, very, very rare today as I've grown up. I saw my dad bless a lot of people. I saw a lot of blessing financially on his life. And there was a time shortly after I graduated high school, I didn't know exactly what happened, but my father had fallen away from the Lord. He began to get really bitter. He began to get really angry. And I saw my dad quickly became an alcoholic. He quickly started smoking again. Him and my mom divorced shortly thereafter. And then I saw my dad begin to lose. Literally, my dad was a millionaire. I saw him go from a millionaire to nothing. Next thing you know, all of his businesses were falling apart. And I never knew exactly what happened. I later found out, which it really doesn't serve this moment right now to tell the whole story. But what does serve the moment is I saw my father pray every single morning from his knees. And I saw the fruit in our life. I saw the fruit in our family. I saw the fruit I would say there was fruits of the spirit, but there was also financial fruit from my father dedicating his life, his marriage, his kids to the Lord. I've always been resistant to pray from my knees. Nothing against it. I just never really prayed from my knees. I will even spend time up until the last couple of months. I would spend it more in a sitting position or a pacing position. We all pray differently. I've never been one to pray from my knees. So through the last many years, sadly, my sister has had a hard time. I am now caring for my niece. She lives with us here now. My mom and dad have had their challenges. My dad is still alive, but he's not good in health. And I would say his spirit is still struggling, although he is reconnected with the Lord. But I was at this service a couple of months ago, and I felt the Lord say, Doug, if you will, I felt this tug to turn around and get on my knees. And, for all the fleshly reasons, I was like, that's stupid. People are going to think I want attention. And it was all about me. Yeah. That's what I made it. And I just felt like sing this last song from your knees. Angie, I turn around, I fell to my knees. The moment was dark and I began to wail uncontrollably. This is 2 months ago. Wow. And I literally vividly heard the Lord say, Doug, if you will finish your race from your knees, I will heal your family and everyone you come in contact with. And it was so clear, Angie. And it was something that I had resisted because when my father was 45, he left his knees. I am 46 years old and I am now finishing my race from my knees, not every day, not in an hour a day. And sometimes we want to put numbers, God doesn't keep score on how much time you spend with him. Like in our brain, it's like, did you spend 15? Did you spend 30 minutes in the word? Right. He doesn't care. You're just his son. You're just his daughter. He just wants time. He actually just wants attention. He just wants, Doug, am I your source of strength? Am I going to be your guiding light? And Angie, I felt in that moment, I knew the Lord say, Doug, if you will finish your race, basically, if you will finish what your father started 30 years ago, I will heal your family. And Angie, I won't even share them right now, but I'm beginning to see signs and miracles and wonders across my family that is being healed. And these are things I prayed for 25 years. And now I'm like, God, is that all you wanted? Was just a new act of surrender? But my friends, that's what he wants. Is just a new season of surrender, because the manna or the wineskin that we got into a couple of years ago, or that served us through the pandemic, will not serve us, our
Good.
families, our businesses, and our ministries moving forward.
Woo, that's so good. And that goes exactly where God has been challenging me, in that same way that we get in our own ways because we make the mistake that it's about me. What will people think of me? What will my kids think of me? All of the things. And I literally heard the Lord challenging me on this, saying, Angie, you are keeping not only your bloodline from reaping what I've called you to do, the benefit of what I've called you to do, but others who could be transformed through it as well. When we are unwilling because of all the fear and the nonsense that we train ourselves in, we keep others away from it. And it was such a convicting thing. We're so self-absorbed. And I'm curious, Doug, how do you get out of your way? How do you get out of your own way like you did?
I'm stubborn, and probably most of us are, but we all know where we're stubborn. Usually, the things that I'm resisting most is where I've seen the biggest breakthrough.
Mm,
I think about that event. I act like, oh, I went to this great men's conference. It was just so fun and perfect. Do you know how many times I almost canceled my flight? Because I
mm,
had reasons or excuses not to be there. And they were good reasons, Angie.
yeah.
I mean, I am carrying a lot right now with my
Mm,
businesses, my
yeah.
companies. Some of them I'm creating new, others I'm just trying to hold on. And I had good reason to say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we do. I mean, I know you and I are getting ready for an incredible Valor retreat
Yeah.
coming up very soon. And I think about the families that sacrifice, that put their kids in a bigger room, that make the sacrifice to do things. And that's what I know. If it's something, usually if it's something that is for me, that would be good for me, that I know it's not like, I mean, there's great conferences around the world, and there's
Mm-hmm.
things sometimes that, a movie, a ball game, shoot, even a business conference that
Mm-hmm.
could be good, could be not. But then there's those spiritual moments, those prayer and breakthrough nights that are happen at
Mm-hmm.
at our churches, or those special things that we have a tendency to cancel on, the actually thing that we should. And that's usually my red flag, or that's my green light to say,
Mm-hmm.
don't cancel. This is 2024. Do not cancel on what is going to make a spiritual and a
Good.
Jesus impact on your marriage or your family or your connection with your kids. That actually is where we should be keeping score.
Oh, I just love that. And I think that is so true for all of us. Is, too many of us are spending our days working, working, working in our businesses, wondering why our businesses are not being successful when we're not spending the time in the space with the font of all wisdom, the one who can absolutely transform everything in our lives overnight, and we don't spend time with them. I
Businesses are going to come and go.
Yeah,
And I've seen this so much in the last 2 years. Good people I've mentored, they've dedicated their life to their business. And they're like, oh, if I just put my kids in a good Christian school, let's just say, and I know they don't say it like this,
yeah,
but often our actions show it. If I can just get youth group, or if I can just get the church, or if I can just get Valor School, if I can get X
yeah,
Christian school, get my kids in there, they're going to be fine, and I can go work my business. Sadly, Angie, we're on the other side of that now. We're 2 years later,
mm,
3 years later, and we're starting to see people are walking out, their
true.
kids are graduating high school,
Yep.
and their business isn't what it used to be, or their business is no longer.
Mm-hmm.
And two, their kids are saying, where's mom? Where's dad? Because we actually made a short-term sacrifice financially for a long-term
Good.
spiritual gain. And parents, that's where we have got to pull back. And that's where we have
Right.
actually call an audible in our home and just
Yep.
say, enough is enough, not on my watch.
Yep.
We are moving forward, spiritually aligned, emotionally connected,
Good.
consciously connected, and finances, I'm telling you right now, finances will take care of themselves.
That's so good. And I echo that. Make every sacrifice you can to get your kid in the right space in the right community, because their community matters so much. Doug, you mentioned earlier that you had a lot of fear when it came to Phoenix and raising him in this world. And I'd love for you to unpack that a little bit. Like, what are you afraid of? And what are you doing about it?
I'm fearful as a father that I just want to, the flesh in me just wants to say, can we sit this one out? And I feel like protecting him is by not letting him be on an iPad, because I've heard the statistics. Usually
Yeah.
young boys are exposed to pornography somewhere between 7 and 10 years old.
Yeah.
And Phoenix is 7.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But versus avoiding it,
Good.
I have to get on the front end of it. And we have to have the conversations. And very soon, Phoenix is going to know of his dad's own struggle with pornography, and how I've confronted it, and how I have to continue to confront it, and how our family confronts it. But the Doug in me says, let's just not talk about it. That would actually be the sin in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Angie, I don't know how I'm getting through it. I do know with Christ, and I have plugged in with an incredible group of men who are having these conversations. How's it going with your son? How's it going with your daughter?
Good.
Like, the conversation is always on the table. It's not, you know, years ago, I heard you talk about the chair. It's like mom or grandma has the favorite living room, you know, with the perfectly vacuumed carpet that you're not allowed to go in there, only on special occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Many people are like that with Christ or God in their life. They pull them out in emergency situations or on special occasions.
Yeah.
And some of us as parents can be scared of the technology talk. It's actually easier to ignore it.
Yeah.
Because we don't know enough about it. And shoot, these kids are smarter on it than we are.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just have, it's almost like they used to, call it the birds and the bees, the sex talk, one time and we're good. No, I am learning, especially with 3 teenage girls. I have a 13-year-old niece living in the home. I have a 17-year-old Caitlin daughter, and I have a 19-year-old Amaya, all living at home, and they all have friends over. The conversation, and I'm so proud of Tia. And I'm proud of myself because I'm staying in the room. I'm not bouncing over here to my office to just check out on work. I'm staying in the conversation.
Yeah.
And it feels good. It at first it feels scary. It feels probably like a lot like Peter stepping out of the boat on uncharted waters, and he started to get weary and started to look back, and it's easier to go back to the boat. And it's like, no, keep your eyes fixed on me. Yeah. I will walk you through this storm. And I'm seeing this, Angie, and it's not just me. The conversations I'm having with fathers, the conversations that are having with mothers who are emotionally and spiritually awakened right now, not sleeping, no longer sleeping, but saying, for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. For me and my house, we will be connected. And me and my house, we will not ignore hot topics, that Instagram's not ignoring them. The government's not ignoring them. TikTok isn't ignoring them, nor will we, especially us here at Valor.
That's so good. Yeah. I mean, I think if we're all honest as parents, we have all, myself included, I have 3 adult children, but got it wrong, right? Did exactly what you're saying at times and phoned in our responsibilities as parents because it was hard. We weren't sure what to do. We were uncomfortable with the whole conversation. And so we did nothing. And what I love about what you're saying is, and I think it's key to point out, is you, one, acknowledged it's a problem. And the Bible says, to those who know what to do and don't do it, it's sin. So when we know, when we have that prompting, we need to acknowledge it. And I love that your brutal honesty to acknowledge, because as parents, we're all there. Like, we all are there. It's hard for all of us. I don't care how much I've studied on this topic and talked to people on this topic. It was hard for me as a parent too. I got it wrong on multiple occasions, but the grace of God that covers those situations when we'll honestly acknowledge that. And then the second thing you did was you leaned in to community and accountability. And so I love those two things because of that. You know,
Angie,
you're
because that's it,
go for
Angie.
it.
We can't. I just realized I'm not going to save Phoenix from seeing pornography.
Right.
He's going to see it. It's just a matter of what age. But if
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't know where
That's
that
good.
addiction comes from and what his dad is contended for and what his grandpa did contend for and then chose not to tell his dad, I mean, if you want to think about it, that's actually where the root of it goes. I asked my father 10 years ago, Dad, is there anything in our family bloodline
Wow.
that you would have loved to have a do-over in? Now that you and mom are divorced, you have no one depending on you. Like, it's just you. Like, you know, he looks at me and he goes, Doug, other than maybe I should have sold the business sooner, maybe would have bought this piece of real estate, man, I really, really did the best I could. A couple years later, I actually found out why sometimes the in-laws don't always get together and the cousins don't always come over, because
Wow.
there were some family secrets that were no longer a secret. And those are the type of things, as I'm like, man, am I the only father struggling here with pornography? Am I the only father feeling tempted to cheat on his wife in the first 7 to 10 years of mine and Tia's marriage? Oh, I thought I was the crazy one. No, my dad confronted it and, he faced it too. Just nobody knew
Yeah.
until later that he didn't win the battle. He had failed. And so I am choosing to just at least prepare our kids. There's no more like, oh, that's adult talk, or, oh, don't talk about that around the kids. No, this is what was in our family bloodline. And these are the chains that we're committed to breaking. And these are the chains you're still going to have to continue to break, because they are there. They are real. It's the world we're living in. And so, yeah, I don't have it figured out. I don't stand before you or sit here on this podcast, all my friends, listening right now saying, Doug, give me the tools. Give me the tools. I can lead you to some. DM me out. I'm very open about some of the tools, but the biggest tool is saying, God, I need you. And the other tool is complete honesty and transparency in your marriage and your family. And I can tell you what, it is so worth it, friends. Tia and I have some brutal conversations. They are so worth it. They're hard. Honesty is hard, but it is so freeing. And our girls and our even my son now, he can see the health in our relationships, because he is seeing honesty, transparency, that there's nothing hidden. There's never a bad question. There's never oh, we don't talk about that because mom's dealing with her crap.
Yeah.
Dad's dealing with his crap. And so are we as a family.
Amazing.
We are dealing and talking about our crap.
It's amazing. That's amazing. Well, we are getting to the end of this, and this was so good. I feel like we could easily go on for another hour on this topic. I am grateful for your vulnerability and honesty, because we need it. And you're absolutely right. The things that are kept in the dark stay in the dark, but they haunt the bloodline going down. And so it isn't until we're honest about that. Doug, what question as a parent do you still like? What's the thing you still struggle with as a parent, the question mark that you look at and go, here's the thing that I'm always curious about?
From a practical, because I'm in the thick of school and have my new niece living under the roof, I really wish I was better equipped to understand what our kids are really facing today. I'm good at asking questions, Angie. I'm a
You
coach.
are.
I can listen. I can do tell me more. But I tell you what, there's a lot going on in their brains, and they are facing things that we never had to face.
It's true.
And they don't know how to verbalize it, and they don't know if it's okay to not be okay, because we so bad want our kids to be okay. Did you have a good day at school? How was it? And like, we're moving on to the next thing. Like, let's solve it. And what I want to know is, how as a parent, how can we as a society just sit with our kids. And I want to learn more from them. And I want to create a safe space that there is no fear, there is no judgment, that I could just seek to understand
Yeah.
all the stuff that they're going through.
So good. So good, man. Yes. The only thing I'll say in response, because it's not an answer, but is this, and doing a lot of research wrapped around critical thinking. And I think we all would acknowledge we'd love our kids to be great critical thinkers. The research shows you that critical thinking happens in safety, meaning I have the ability to share with you anything that's on my heart, anything I'm thinking, I'm curious about, my opinions, knowing that they may not align with yours. Why that's important is because it's then that you can become iron sharpening iron. It's then that you have room to rush up against those ideas and for your child to take, here's my thoughts, and now here's some more thoughts to go with the experience. So I love that question. That was not meant to be an answer on any level, because I think the best thing we can do is exactly what you're suggesting, is sit with our kids and create safety. Mm. Yeah, that's good. Well, my friend, thanks for joining me today. This is any parting words for you as we gear up here to head out, as well as we want to make sure that, Doug, we're going to post all the stuff. You're doing so many things right now. I want to take a few minutes to talk about what are the things you're doing, what are the places people can follow you to make sure they can get more of your content, because I know you guys are up to a lot of big things right now.
Well, I thank you for this time, and my parting words to each and every person in the room or in the podcast is analyze every single part of your life right now and just make sure you are on mission. You are on family mission. You are on marriage mission. You are on purpose mission. You're on financial mission. And this is a time, the world's going to turn over again, Angie, and everything's going to be back to whatever anyone describes as normal. Everyone listen to this, you're going to be making more money in a few months or a few years. Things are going to be back booming. I believe the economy is going to be back booming, whether it be interest rates going down or stock markets up or whatever. That will be all normal. My question is, will your family be normal? Will your family be healthy? Will you just be making more money? Or if there was a time to spend time in therapy, if there was a time to go get that healing, if there was a time to make a career change and make sure, are you like me at 46 years old saying, am I doing Doug's mission or am I doing God's mission? Because this is a great time to retool. So yeah, Angie, a couple of years ago, we really felt like T and I were called to the city of Scottsdale. And so, something we've been working on recently is creating a massive community and health and wellness center that will open here very soon. But we got very clear on who we're for. And we're for families, we're for marriages, and we're for the fit and wealthy. And we are creating a place in Scottsdale to bring all people together, to learn, to grow, to get healthy together, and to recover and start to heal their bodies, start to heal their minds, start to heal their spirits. And that's called the Hive Fit Club. So that does open soon. So that's fun. But where people can connect with me is on Instagram. The Real Doug Wood is a great place. I love DMs. I love questions like, hey, Doug, you mentioned something on that podcast. Where would you direct me? I love conversations for the people that will ask the questions, because the people that ask the questions right now want to grow and want to figure it out. And so those are who I want to talk to, Angie. I don't want to reach everyone anymore. I used to a few years ago. I wanted to reach everyone. Now I want to help the one, because I know for a fact when I help the one, they're going to reach their one. And that's how we're going to duplicate and really wake up conscious parents, conscious educators, conscious people who want to make big impact in the world. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. This was excellent. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, share it out there, give it a 5-star review. Here's the deal. It's not for my benefit. As Doug was saying, it isn't about building a brand or a big reputation or influence. It is about helping people. It is about bringing freedom to people that are in bondage and captive. And the way you do that is free. It's easy. Send this podcast out to your friends. Share it with people you know need to hear it. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.